everyone, my name is Clem and welcome to my very first YouTube video. Today we're talking about Embrilliance. Now, if you follow me on my other social medias, TikTok specifically, you know that I always do this Embrilliance Make It Make Sense videos. Well, today I want to take you through quite a bit of some Embrilliance essential features that most people don't talk about. And you paid a lot of money for that in Brilliant software, let's make it work for you. So I have some really cool features that you can turn a lot of those items that you're putting on pieces of paper, you're printing out, you're making sure you keep in a file or on Google Forms, and you could have just saved them right in Embrilliance. So today we're going to talk about Project Advisor for Embrilliance. It's going to stop a lot of the questions that some of us ask. I know I'm one of them. On how to stabilize. What kind of needle do I use? You can use Embrilliance Essentials Project Advisor for that. And drum roll, please. Brrr, the notes that you use, the thread colors, things like that, you can all save that in your working files. So let's jump into Embrilliance Essentials and let's look at how this software can work for you because you paid a lot of money for it. So let's see what we can do with it.
There's some really cool things that you can do in Embrilliance Essentials that you might not know about. And of course, we want to make sure that we know Embrilliance and we're going to make it make sense today. So, with Essentials, there is a feature that I don't think people talk about enough. And I got to show you what it looks like. So, here's a design that I've made using fonts and some different elements that I've bought off of Etsy, right? And so I saw this cute design and I was like, I have to recreate this. So I bought some fonts and I brought some pictures. And right now you can see that it's in my hoop. But I want to be able to do this on t-shirts, sweatshirts, even cocktail napkins. I've been really into cocktail napkins recently, but these are made of linen. And so how you stabilize these is going to be different with everything that you do. So let me show you a feature in Embrilliance Essentials that's going to help you with that. So what you're going to do is go up to Utility, and then you're going to go to Project Advisor. This Project Advisor is going to help you know, give you recommendations on the type of needles that you need to use, going to tell you what kind of stabilizer. I'm always seeing people ask about what stabilizer do I use, the kind of stabilizers that you use, and it's also going to give you project notes. So let's check this out. If I want to do this on my linen cocktail napkin, right? I'm just going to scroll down here and say linen. Fabric thickness, this is actually pretty light, right? And has no stretch, right? So here it says my recommendations for the embroidery needle, size 11 or 12. So that's the 7511, right? Needle, 40 weight thread, and backing tearaway. Look at the project notes. Linen sews out like cotton or polyester fabric. Some is dry clean. However, so consider this when selecting stabilizer. If you're creating heirloom designs on linen, like this, consider starching the fabric. This will add a built-in stabilizer that can provide a better result while using a wing needle. Also, the starch will allow for a lighter stabilizer, one that tears away very easily, will distort the fabric less when it's removed. Hooping suggestions. Tightly hoop the backing, then base the fabric and topping to it. So this is saying basically we're going to float it, okay? So do it tightly, and then you want to put a basting stitch. So with that recommendation, I would just go here, go to Utility, base this hoop so that now I have a basting stitch around this design for when it stitches out. Now, you might say, Clem, no, we're not doing that on the cocktail napkins. We're going to do it on a sweatshirt. So let's take a look. I'm going to take that basting design off and let's take a look. Again, go to Utility, Project Advisor, and let's take a look at what it looks like to do it on a sweatshirt. So I'm going to scroll down and go to sweatshirt. Thickness is heavy, fabric stretch. Most sweatshirts have a light stretch to it. Again, it's saying that you need an embroidery needle, that 7011. Your thread weight is 40, and your topping, water soluble, self adhesive. If you're going to use a topping, I don't think you really need a topping here, but backing is fusible tearaway and cutaway. Now, I know some of y'all are saying if you wear it, don't tear it, but I bet if we try some of these, we could probably use some fusible tearaway here. So in the project notes, sweatshirt or jersey material can be difficult because of a tendency to shrink under the tension of embroidery. Due to this, stabilization is very important, and we know that because we're going to watch this over and over and over again, right? Do not attempt to pull the fabric tight in the hoop, as this is going to make a problem for you. Just make sure that the stabilizer is tightly hooped with the fabric adhered to it in a relaxed state. So hooping suggestion, just tightly hoop it with the backing, then base the fabric and topping to it. So you can, again, it's telling you can float these. So I know a lot of people like to float, and it's saying, hey, you can float these. It's okay. So that's another great tool there. So that is that project advisor is one of those awesome examples of something to use here in Embrilliance Essentials. Okay, absolutely love that with Embrilliance Essentials. Another feature that I don't think a lot of people talk about in Embrilliance Essentials is how to save notes. Now, we all know that we have a design. You probably print something out because you need to save the type of thread you use, the color you use, especially if you're doing something for a business and it's a repeat business. That's what we all want, right? Of course. So, one of the other things that you can do in Embrilliance Essentials that I think is chef's kiss, and it's a great way to just come back to the file and see what you did, how you did it, and be able to keep those notes so you don't have to print anything out and everything is kept digitally with those saved files, is adding notes to your files. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to click on the from the 1900s, right? That's what I did. I'm going to go to the notes section and I'm going to add here, always do this in one color. Use my cutaway stabilizer. Y'all, I can't spell, so if I spell anything wrong, no judgment. I mean, you could help me in the comments, but still, this is a judgment-free zone. We're learning together. And then also, see, and I spelled that wrong. Thank goodness for red lines. And then what else are we gonna do here? Oh, for the flowers, right? I can say for the flowers, always use the same shade of the same color. And for the leaves and stems, use 2 shades of green. That's done, right? So now I can put that. Now, if I wanted to get even more detailed, I can say the color numbers. So I can go for original design. I want to use the following colors: 390, 460, 560, or let's do 570. I don't know those actual colors, but you can actually look at the colors you're using for the thread and you'll be able to use this. You can even say if it was a color match for another design. And now I have those notes. So if I file, I want to save as, I want the stitching and the working file. So that BE file is that working file, right? Save as stitching and working. I'm going to go to my embroidery designs. I'm going to make a new folder. Actually, I'm not making a new folder. This is fine. And I'm going to do from the 1900s, and I'm going to do a PES file and I'm going to click save. Okay. Now, if I want to get out of this, I'm just going to Command W to get out of it. Here's my other design I'm making. Can't wait to drop this one. I'm going to go to File, Open, and I can open from the 1900s, and I'm going to open. Okay, so now I'm going to open up that BE file because remember, we want to make sure that we save the working file so we can see what we worked on and we can change any of those colors. I'm doing PES because I'm going to put this on my brother machine here. So that's why I have the PES file. So I'm going to go to Open Recent. I'm going to go from the 1900s BE, right? We look here. Remember, I put it all under the wording. So I'm going to come here to the letters. I can click notes, and there are all my notes there from what I put on the designs. This is a great way to keep everything digital, using your working files to work for you. That's the great part about Essentials. Essentials is an editing tool. Remember that it's an editing tool, but Essentials can work for you if you let it do that.